Hey, welcome into another episode of Conquer Corona. You're here with me, Kyle Stanley, and a familiar face, Travis Chappell. You will recognize Travis from back, I think it was like within our first 20 episodes. Travis was originally, he and I connected because he was on the Bigger Pockets podcast. I reached out. He's from Fresno, well, not from Fresno, but lived in Fresno for a little bit. And I was like, I got to meet this guy. And now I'm a part of Travis's mastermind, and we've developed a great relationship. And you're really not even necessarily doing much in the real estate phase of things. But I think, just like anything, everyone's business is being impacted by all of this madness right now. And so from an outsider's perspective, who's also like, guys, you're going to get great advice today from Travis on what to be doing, no matter what business you're in, to be able to survive and thrive during these uncertain times. So, Travis, thanks for being back on, man. And let's just jump right into it. Like, what was the impact that this thing had on your business as soon as you realized like this thing is sticking around for a while?
Yeah, bro. Well, first off, thanks for doing this. Thanks for creating some content to talk about some of the things that a lot of business owners are really worried about right now. Appreciate you for bringing me back on the show. And, for me, I've really just try to put myself in a really grateful state because sure, it's affected me negatively. And sure, I've lost a couple of clients and I have lost sales calls with potential clients that were pretty much already sold, just needed to make it official. And they were just like, oh, we got to postpone. We can't do it right now. Like, we got all of our budget was slashed and, we can't spend at the moment. And so sure, it's affecting me negatively for sure. But, at the end of the day, there's so many people that are being affected in a much, much more negative way than I am. And so
Sure.
I'm just honestly pretty grateful at the moment that I was taught how to manage finances when I was a pretty young kid. So, we're stocked up and ready to weather a storm if need be. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully, we all come out of this pretty quickly. But we're blessed in that sense. And then the majority of our business is online, but a lot of our clients do businesses with other businesses that are small businesses, doing less than 20 million a year or whatever. And so some of those people that just lost clients overnight and lost 50% of their income were just like, man, we can't keep paying for the podcasting stuff. We have to watch our spending. And so, for me, it's just about trying to focus on the positive things and then trying to be grateful for the fact that I'm not in total panic mode right now and like about to, you know, go bankrupt or anything like that. So, there's obviously some negative, but try to mainly focus on the positive at this point.
Yeah, and I think no matter if you're in real estate or not, I think a lot of people who are financially savvy felt something was going to happen here in 2020 or 2021. So saving has been the name of the game for a lot of people recently. So I'm glad to hear that you were doing the same thing. That's kind of where I'm at too. I feel like I can weather the storm, even if I have a lot of expenses with my Airbnbs and everything, which luckily we've been able to at least get to even with everything. But I guess, you just launched a new podcast called World Class. And you're really pushing for people to start seeing, podcasts as a way to, for free, expand their business. And I want to just say, during a time like right now, does it make even more sense to start a podcast? Like, where do you stand on all this from helping other people?
Great question. And the answer is yes, 100%. It makes the most sense to start a podcast right now, even if it's not even a podcast, a platform, start a platform, a YouTube channel, a podcast, an IGTV show, or, a blog or something similar. Now is the time to be creating a shit ton of content because you have extra time on your hands and you're probably by yourself. You're probably quarantined up somewhere. So it's the perfect time. Like whenever there's panic financially and people aren't willing to spend, they're still consuming content and they're still looking to learn. They're still looking to grow. They're still looking to receive value. They just probably aren't going to be buying all of your premium tier products at the moment. So now is the time to really capture more customer attention so that when all this stuff blows over, you can capitalize on the customer attention by actually turning that into sales. But right now, all you just got to focus on is bringing quality, consistent content to an audience of people and trying to genuinely add as much value as you can to those people without expecting return. Like, will it lead to sales? I think 100% it will lead to sales. But if you do it hoping that will lead to sales, that's a surefire way to make sure that you're going to be upset at the end of the deal.
Mhm.
So I just tell people, like, look, just try to add value. It always comes back down to the Zig Ziglar quote, man. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have want. And so if you help enough people right now want, and you help enough people, whether it's staying sane or taking their mind off of this Corona stuff and providing entertainment value, or giving practical advice on how to weather the storm in your business or your Airbnb business, or whatever it is, like if you can bring valuable content to people during a time when they're not able to spend money, and you can do that for free, then what you're going to do is be able to capture a little bit more attention during a time when people aren't looking to spend money. And then if you can capture that attention and they continue to follow you past this time, then they will be willing to spend money, and they'll probably more willing to spend money with the people who added a lot of value to them during a time when they knew they wouldn't be able to spend money with them.
Yeah. Well, adding value has always been your thing. And I know you've got a Meet Your Hero course and book. And, you've been able to interview a ton of big names out there in the influencer space, especially Tommy Lauren, right? Is that her name? The most recent
Yeah,
one?
Tommy Lahren. Yeah.
Laren, yep.
Yep,
So,
yep.
I mean, that was pretty awesome to be able to see that you were able to land an interview like that. But you don't just get to that overnight, and you get to it by continuing to add value and just focus on giving without expecting anything in return. At the same time, I think there's probably a lot of people right now that, are saying, well, I don't have an expertise. I don't have like that thing right now. I'm still trying to figure out what that thing is, and how am I supposed to not only try to keep my head above water, but also start some sort of platform on maybe something that I'm not um, an expert in. Do you have anything to say to those types of people of where a podcast or a platform could benefit them and how they could do that?
Yeah, sure. You don't have to be an expert to start a podcast on something. When I started Build Your Network, I was not a networking expert at all. I was actually a total newbie. I had never even like gone to a networking event except for like a couple ones that I did when I was selling solar when I was younger. Uh, but I didn't go to conventions. I didn't network a lot. I didn't go to meetings. Like I didn't do any of those things. But I started a show on networking. The difference is that you can't present yourself as an expert, because that's where you turn yourself into a douchebag, right? There's plenty of people out there that present themselves as experts when they're not really experts, and they hope people don't find out that they're not experts until they pay them money, and then they can't deliver a result. They're
Right.
like, oh, this person's not really an expert. So it just depends on how you position yourself. So if you're out there and you're like, man, I just don't think I could create content around anything, I don't know enough about a certain topic or whatever. First of all, probably most of that's just the imposter syndrome talking, and actions is going to be the only thing that cures that. But if it's not, and it's really because you don't have a ton of experience, maybe you're younger. Like that was my thing. I was 23, 24, I think, maybe when I started. So I was just like, man, who's going to listen to me, right? But ultimately, what I figured out is that people want to listen to quality content. So how do I put out quality content if I'm not the person delivering it? Well, I go on people who are quality people who know a lot, and I ask them a few good questions, and then they provide the content. All I am is the facilitator. I'm just the captain of the ship, right? I'm just leading. I'm just the one guiding the ship. Everybody else is on board. We're all in the journey together. Like we're on this journey of learning how to network, and learning how to build relationships and learning how to connect with people genuinely. We're all on the same journey together. I just happen to be at the helm guiding the ship. I'm just guiding the conversations and leading the way for all of us to be able to learn together on this journey. And what happens, everybody else learns a lot through your discoveries that you make and through your interviews, sure, but you learn the most because you're talking to everybody and you get to ask them the questions that you want to ask them. And you're probably like, from if you're somebody that cares about quality stuff, like you're keeping yourself accountable to constantly perfecting your craft and getting better at what you do anyway. Like when it's out on networking, I'm one of the first ones to pick it up and read it, because like I want to make sure that I'm bringing to my audience the best possible content that I can bring, which means that I have to constantly be learning more and more and more myself. And so it makes me learn a lot more through like external content, but it also makes me learn a lot more because I'm interviewing the very people that have the knowledge that I want, and I'm getting to ask them whatever questions I want to ask them on that topic. So don't let something like that prevent you from creating content. My biggest regret, bro, really my only regret in starting my show is that I didn't start sooner. It's
Yeah.
my only regret. Like I wish I would have just started sooner. If I was like, every day you postpone launching content, is another day that you postpone your success in being a content creator. So
Yep.
if you one day have this goal of being, Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets and having an audience of millions of people, or being a John Lee Dumas, or being a Jordan Harbinger, or being a Lewis Howes, or, a Gary Vee, or a Grant Cardone, if you dream of being like that one day, every day that you delay content creation is another day that you delay that dream. And so don't delay your dreams just because of some really imposter syndrome thought that you had. Just get started, take action, and be honest and upfront with people, and start today. Start ASAP.
Yeah, well, and just to speak from experience on that, when I first took your Meet Your Hero course, one of the things that really stuck with me is that, when you can get to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? There's that like instant credibility that it builds, that
Yep.
you don't have to be the expert, but hey, come on my show and teach people about networking and why it's so important. Hey, come on my show and teach people about your exit strategy for real estate and why it's so important. And when you do that, like I hardly knew anything about real estate when I started my podcast, but I took advice straight from you of just being that person who asked the questions to give the advice from an expert, not from myself. I made so many discoveries. I built so many relationships. And then suddenly, before I knew it, without even trying, people were asking me for advice and then asking me. And it was almost like unintentionally, I became one of the experts in the field of Airbnb. But like that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have known that that was a need if I didn't actually start my podcast. So just to like reiterate what you said, you need to start it because you'll make so many discoveries, not only about your own business, but also about what other people want and how you can deliver the solutions for that.
Yeah, it's a perfect example, man. Perfect example. It's essentially like getting a ton of free mentorship from people that you hand select.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I was blown away by this when I first started my show. I reached out to a couple people. One guy, I don't know if you know him, his name's Ryan Stuman. He's a hardcore closer. And he was somebody that I had followed for a little while. And I was just like, man, it'd be cool to get this guy on my show. He's got a large audience, runs an 8-figure online marketing company. And I was like, this would be cool to get this guy, right? So I reached out and I was like, hey, man, I tried to go for the smallest ask possible because I wanted to get like a small yes, right? So I was like, hey, can I get 3 minutes of your time on a phone call? I just want to ask you a quick question. Can I get 3 minutes of your time just on a quick call? So he messages back, which is, props to him for even messaging me back. So he messages me back and says, hey, man, people that are my mastermind pay me about $30,000 a year to get that kind of access to me. It just wouldn't be fair to them for me to hop on a call with you for free.
Wow.
So sorry, we can't do that. And I was like, hey, makes sense. Like, I'm not whining and complaining. Like some people would get that and be like, well, this dick, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't one of those people. I was just like, hey, totally makes sense. It's totally not fair to those clients that are paying for that access. So I reached out again just because I'm a persistent fellow. and I was just like, well, I have this podcast thing that I was, hoping that you could take a look at or something like that. And he was like, oh, well, I'm happy to be on the podcast if you want to do an interview. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait. So you're going to say no to a 3 minutes, bro,
Yeah.
3-minute phone call. You're going to say no to that, but you're going to say yes to a 35-minute podcast interview where I can ask you any question that I want to ask you. And I can distribute that to my own audience while sharing credibility and authority with you because I'm putting myself in the same conversation with somebody who's already built a ton of trust and credibility and authority for the last decade in this industry. Like, why didn't I start this a year ago? You know what I mean? Like, even if that was the only thing, even if nobody ever listened to my show, even if I never threw an event and people like you didn't join my mastermind, I didn't make money from this, just that in and of itself, just those free mentorship sessions and just the credibility and the authority that I get from like aligning myself with people who've already taken decades of their lives building credibility and authority, just that by itself is worth every bit of your time that you invest into starting a show.
Yeah, well, and then that's why you reached out to me, as you said, how can I grow a beard like Kyle, right?
That's exactly right. I was just looking at your mustache and I was like, damn it, I need a fuller mustache like that, man. Like you got like a Western, you got like a Kurt Russell thing going on if you really wanted to.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah. How about we do this? If so, Travis and I have been talking about doing maybe like bringing together some people for a no shave during the quarantine type of deal, whether it's a contest or not, who cares? But if you're watching on the YouTube channel right now, comment if you think that Travis and I should go ahead and do that. Right now, I haven't shaved in about 10 days, which has been as long as this quarantine thing's going on. So I'm kind of like at that fringe of, do I shave or do I keep on going? So it will
Keep
be
it
up to
going,
you
bro.
guys. Yeah, it will be up to you guys.
Comment,
You got to comment.
comment below. Yeah.
Yes. So Travis, if people are excited about getting started on launching a podcast, or if they have any questions about, just going in deeper into that, is there a way that they can connect with you?
Sure. So, you can always go straight to my website, travischappell.com. Everything that I do is over there. That's Chappell. In terms of the podcasting stuff specifically, we're coming out with a $99 launch your podcast course. That just walks people through the beginning steps. So it takes you from zero podcast to having a podcast within 30 days. And so it's $99, super, super cheap, super affordable, made on purpose. That way nobody has an excuse of why they can't jump into it. So $99 for that. But if you're a 7-figure business owner and you want a podcast, but you don't want to figure out all the next stuff and equipment and software and media hosts and all the nonsense that goes in on the back end, then my team actually does that for people. So we actually build done for you podcasts for people who have money and are too busy to do it for themselves. So if you want to learn more about that, just head over to travischappell.com/make my podcast. And there's a quick application. We'll jump on a phone call and see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, well, guys, you're listening right now to two people that their lives have changed, and we've been able to change other people's lives by having a podcast. And so, if you're even considering it at all, just do it. I think right now is the time for action, especially reflection and action. Just figuring out what your next step is a very common theme right now. But if that at all is something that you're considering, again, travischappell.com. To learn more about that. But Travis, thanks so much, man, for coming on today and helping our audience to learn how they can survive and thrive during these uncertain times.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thanks for having me again.